I'd like to welcome you to this edition of EMU Today. We want you to sit back and relax and just enjoy the conversation. And again, we have a great lineup of guests. I'd like to welcome Sarah Potter-Racke. How you doing?
How are you doing? I'm doing great today.
Good, good. And you know, every time we do these, I'm learning more about the university as well. How about you?
I feel like definitely since sitting in this seat for the first time, I've gotten to know some very important people on campus, and I've really started to understand some things I didn't have knowledge about before.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you said you're getting to know some very important people on campus. In my mind, everybody's important. Right? All right, all right. In fact, we are so pleased to welcome Ms. Lolita Cummings Carson. And she specialized in public relations and has worked as a full professor at EMU here in Ypsilanti for 20 plus years.
Yes, sir.
Well, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well.
We're so glad to have you. And really, just very briefly, give us a brief overview about you.
I am a Flint native. Very proud of that. Live in the Detroit suburb now, but I've been here for 24 years and could not be happier about that. I teach public relations. And I honestly could not imagine myself anywhere else because of the vibrancy of the campus, the students, and the entire rich academic atmosphere that we have here. I love it.
Absolutely. And so there's a few months ago, recently, you've kind of become this, I like to say, the celebrity.
What a surprise.
All right, what a surprise. But there's a nice program that's taking place here on campus that kind of became the rage. And we saw you on local television, recently on local radio, talking about this program. Share with our viewers that program and what is it?
It's my 5 minutes, and I'm using it to spread a message of kindness with my students. And it really is all about my students because they're the ones who are doing it. You know, we noticed that since the last couple of years, there's been a surge in hate and hatred, not just here, but across campuses. Across the university, across the country. And so what we're doing is we're trying to be very proactive about being kind to people. So we have our Random Acts of Kindness project, and we're tweeting about every act that we commit. And it's catching on.
I've actually been seeing a lot of those. I'll get on Twitter sometimes, and one of my friends, I have a few friends on there that are very active in the Eastern Michigan Twitter community.
Yes.
And they'll retweet all of them in a row.
We love that. We absolutely love that because after we commit an act of kindness, then we use the hashtag Campus Kindness because we do want it to spread. We want other people on campuses across the country to know that that's what we're doing here, and that's what we would also like them to join in because everyone needs to be a part of this in making our campuses and our country more kind.
I didn't know the origin of it until recently, and I was wondering, do you see a lot of people outside of your classes and courses participating in Campus Kindness?
We have. We've had some athletes join us. We were real pleased about that, and other students who I actually have no idea who they are, but I see their tweets, and so we're very, very pleased about that. The more people we can have join in, the more we can make everyone realize that this campus is for everyone. It's not just for a select few. It's for everyone, and it's our responsibility to make sure that everyone feels welcome, everyone feels like they're cared about, because that truly is the kind of campus that we have here.
And we talk about the Random Acts of Kindness. What are some of the examples that are currently taking place on campus?
You know, I was going through some of the tweets, and I love going through the tweets because they really do lift my spirits. And I saw one that one student had helped some other students do some peer editing on their writing. She was a very strong writer, and she had some classmates who admitted that they were not, and so she helped them with their paper. Another one said she was behind a student in line for coffee, and the student's card was declined, so she came up and she picked up that cost for the coffee for it. And then another one that stood out in my mind because we've had all this wintry, cold, snowy weather, and she said that she had cleared off the snow on someone else's car. And I thought, what a nice thing to come out, expect your car to be covered with snow, and realize that someone had taken care of that for you.
I've seen a few that have been really, really like grand gestures of kindness. Like one recently that really caught my attention was a young woman who was running late to an appointment, I believe, and she had a tire that was blown. And I think 3 people came together, and she didn't know any of them, and they all helped teach her how to change her tire.
Isn't that nice? Yes, yeah, it's great.
And that leads me to another question. So people are going around campus, and for example, someone might put some money in the meter, for example.
We've had a lot of that.
You've had a lot of that. What are the students' reactions? Are they shocked, or they're like, is this like an April Fool's joke?
You know,
I mean, what is the reaction?
You know, it's varied. Some of them are confused because they're not accustomed to having someone walk up to them and have this, be randomly kind to them. And others are just overwhelmed by the support. I'll tell you an example of one of them that was one of the larger efforts, and it was a class-wide effort. We had been doing this for about a couple of months, and I received an email from a parent of a freshman who was not my student, but her son had had a bicycle accident on campus. He had broken his ankle and torn some ligaments in his knee, and she was concerned about her son because she lived in another part of the state and was going through our website to try and see what services the university might have to help her. And she came across an article that we had about what we were doing, and she contacted me to see if we could help her son. And of course, we were overwhelmed. We were just more than happy to do that. And so what we did was we partnered with University Communications, and they gave us a bag of swag. We partnered with WEMU. They gave us a bag of swag. The students went out, bought him balloons and candy, printed a sheet for campus organization so that he would have, because he wasn't very involved in campus. And then we went and surprised him. And he, talk about a reaction, he was absolutely shocked because the class had just let out. His knee was damaged, and so he was on a scooter. And then you have 20 students coming in with balloons and bags and candy and all these gifts, and he was completely overwhelmed. But once he understood what we were doing, he could not have been more grateful. And I'll tell you the really cool thing about that is when we left him and one of the students escorted him to his dorm because he had far more gifts than he could carry, we went back to our class, and you would have thought that we had just won a trip to Disney. We were just excited about what we had done and the way that it made us feel, because, and I got to tell our students, doing good really feels good, and that was a perfect example of that.
I often imagine what would happen if I were to injure my ankle. I'm a very clumsy person, and I can't even imagine like the magic of that moment for him especially.
Absolutely, it was. And then it didn't just end there, because he was somewhat isolated because he was on his scooter. He was a freshman, and so one of the students in my class, a young man named Jacob, committed to being his mentor for the rest of the semester. And so he checked on him at least once a week to see if he needed anything, went into his dorm room, played video games with him just to make sure that he felt welcome and he felt connected on campus.
You know, so you're a professor.
Yes.
And I'm fortunate enough to also be a guest lecturer here as well. I gotta ask this selfishly. What about for the professors here? Do we get some random acts of kindness from our students?
Well,
you think?
we haven't included the professors yet,
no, okay.
but it may be coming. It may be coming.
Well, I think I'm going to put in the bid for that. Okay.
I think it's a great. I think it's a great idea.
But Sarah, as a student here at EMU, how does that make you feel to see students helping other students here on campus, just to really, unexpected? What are your thoughts?
I really like that it is a whole movement, because I'm someone who really treasures when people just do something from the kindness of their heart. And I've always tried to place a lot of importance and a lot of emphasis on trying to do that for someone at least once a week or so. So seeing that it's a movement, that it's a collective group of people going, hey, we should spread this and make people smile, it feels amazing.
And talking about spreading, Olita, you mentioned, you and I had a conversation before. You want this to expand beyond Eastern Michigan.
We absolutely do, because what is happening across the country. It's happening at Ivy League colleges, community colleges, and so what we're doing here is applicable across the country. I just think that we all need to be more proactive about being kind to one another. We cannot stop those folks who are determined to spread messages of hate, but what we can do is combat that hate with love, and this is one of the ways in which we can do it. And it's small gestures. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything huge. It can be something very small that can be very meaningful.
Has anyone helped you?
In recent years, it's been simple things. I don't know if necessarily if they were a part of Campus Kindness, because they haven't really come out and bragged about it. You don't want to brag about that, but a lot of people have done simple things like, oh, I forgot my card, and they'll pay for something, or people have helped me carry my equipment across campus and stuff. And especially in recent months, I've noticed a pickup in that.
Absolutely. I was coming in this morning, and this young man stopped, and he held the door open for me. And these are things that we get all the time, because this is the kind of campus that we have. But it's on an upswing. I think I'm noticing increased gestures of kindness, and that's always great to see.
Is this the first year that we're doing it here on campus, or?
You know, it's the first year that I have students tweeting about it. I've been here for 24 years, and every one of those years, in most of my classes, I have students commit random acts of kindness or integrity. And what they were doing was they were writing a short half-page paper about it. But I started to teach a social media class in the fall, and I thought, well, this is a perfect opportunity to kind of widen our reach and have them tweet, because when they were writing papers, I was the only one who was learning about it. But with them tweeting, we have much greater visibility and with an opportunity for others to jump on that bandwagon and join us.
And there's a hashtag and other social media. Why don't you share that with our
Yes,
viewers?
so we would love for people to follow us on Twitter at EMU Socialites. And then once they commit a random act of kindness, use the hashtag Campus Kindness.
You know, I just think this is wonderful. It's really so cool to see the university community come together.
Yeah.
And the fact that you want to share it across other universities.
Absolutely.
And now that's being picked up across various forms of media.
Yeah.
This goes beyond the university community. You know, it goes as part of our fabric of life.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I couldn't agree with you more. We're in such a challenged time right now. And it's amazing that when people smile at someone and they make a nice compliment, it makes that person feel good. What do you think?
I would like to see this really move past just being just an Eastern thing. It would be really nice for having an EMU Socialites group to be a regular thing on every campus.
I would love it. You know, originally we were using the hashtag Eagle Kindness, and we thought that's because, you know, EMU Eagles, and it's a wonderful thing to do, and eagles fly higher. But we changed it to Campus Kindness so that it would be more universal, because we really do want it to breach the borders that we have here on campus and spread all over.
Well, Louita, I want to thank you very much for coming in and sharing this random act of kindness with our viewers. We appreciate it. Much continued success.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And there will be now Ms. Derica Bennett here will be here to share with us about Swoop's Pantry. We'll be right back after this break.
On the first floor of Pierce Hall, you'll find Swoop's Student Food Pantry, an organization ran by EMU staff, faculty, students, and alumni. Now, the purpose of this pantry is to provide students in need with food assistance and other resources necessary. Here's a look.
Hello, my name is Sarah Scrimshire, and I am the Bachelor's of Social Work intern at Swoop's Food Pantry. My role here is to help the daily functions of the pantry by stocking shelves, cleaning, getting food from food gatherers or fresh time. I also do a lot of projects on campus, like collecting graduation gowns, and I've been working on creating more connections throughout the community, like NSOA, O-Team, RAs, etc. The founder of Swoops is Haley Morenick. She founded Swoops because she realized when she was a student that there wasn't a food pantry on campus and that there was a need for it. A lot of students at the time were just getting food that they could get from professors. So Haley did some research on campus and she wrote a letter to the Board of Regents, and then a few months later they approved of it, along with some support from the social work department and other professors. We were able to create a food pantry, and this is necessary on campus because college is very expensive. We have to pay for all these different fees, and sometimes we don't have enough money for extra food. One of the biggest things that Swoops works really hard is to make everything confidential. Every single staff here is trained and will keep everything in the pantry confidential. Any student is eligible to shop at the pantry as long as you have a student ID. You come in the first time, you take a quick intake form, and then after that, you're good to go. You can shop twice a month, third time for an emergency. We let you define what that emergency is. For example, if you got in a car accident and you have to pay for a car, you might need some extra food that month. So you can come in for a third time. When you come into Swoops, you will bring your student ID and you will be introduced by one of our team leaders. You grab a bag and you walk through the pantry. It's set up like a grocery store. Everything in the pantry has a label of how much to take. And throughout the pantry, we have fresh produce, we have canned vegetables, canned fruit, cereals, oatmeals. We even have some household items, and we do also have school supplies. We are working really hard to get vegan options. It's one of those things that is hard to find and hard to get. This semester, it's been my mission to have dairy-free milk, but I've seen dairy-free yogurts. I've seen even like veggie patties in our fridge. Swoops Food Pantry is open from noon to 5, Monday through Friday, If you're desperate need of food on the weekend, we do have a emergency bag in Marshall Hall. Well, we do have a Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter. It is Swoops Pantry. You can find us, and that's a big way we communicate about our events, about things that we are doing in the pantry. If you wanted to donate, you can come by the food pantry Monday through Friday from noon to 5 and drop off food items, or you can contact Swoops. It's swoops-pantry@emich.edu, and send us an email that you want to donate something at a different time, and we'll definitely collect those items.
Now, as mentioned before, if you are an EMU student, you are eligible to use the pantry. Just log on to emich.edu/swoopspantry and complete the intake form. Or if you'd like to donate, just head on down to Swoops at 104 Pierce Hall, Monday through Friday between noon and 5. I'm Derica Bennett for EMU Today. Back to you.
Welcome back, and thank you, Derica, for that interesting story. It's great to see these great things are happening here on campus. And we want you, again, continue to sit back and enjoy the conversation. We have such a great diversity of people on this campus, great professors, great programs. And I'm really pleased to welcome our next guest, Ms. Jessica Ducky Alexander. And she's a professor at the Applied Theater and Director of Academic Engagement Programs under Engage at EMU.
Yes, that is a long title.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Yes,
So
thank you.
very briefly, just give us a brief overview of Ducky. Who are you?
So who am I? So I've been at EMU for almost 25 years, which is amazing because I'm only 30.
Yeah.
But yes, so I'm a professor in communication, media, theater arts, and my focus is in applied theater and using theater as a tool to facilitate dialogue or community. And in the last several years, I've really overseen this part of the institution that's really looking at ways in which the university can intentionally engage with community, whether it's through faculty and through their courses, or whether it's through large-scale grants, or whether it's through small community initiatives like a Black Ypsilanti signage project, but things that really reflect who we are as an institution, which is an engaged institution, and honor what EMU as an anchor institution in the community in which it lives and breathes, Ypsilanti. So that's what I'm doing.
So how did your program Engage at EMU come to be, and what all have you been doing?
So I think it's 8 or 9 years, I ended up taking over the Director of Academic Service Learning, which is an office that has now been at EMU for around 22 years from my predecessor, Kathy Stacy. And really the intention of it was to help faculty facilitate community university partnerships with their courses and scholarship. But as academic service learning offices have evolved at the universities across the nation, they needed to be much more intentional in the ways in which they engage community. Fostering community development, fostering economic development. So we really looked to sort of resituate the way in which EMU engages the business community and the community nonprofits and schools in a way that was both virtually accessible but also internally much more vibrant. So we created Engage, which is kind of an umbrella of a lot of different engagement initiatives at the institution, including the Institute for the Study, Family, Children, and Communities. We call it ISEF, and that's what we'll call it. ASL. We have our non-credit programming, and then we have programs like our digital inclusion, and so we have a lot of large-scale and small-scale programs that have now umbrellaed under us. And our intention is to serve as a virtual and human front door for the university in really intentional and collaborative and systematic ways. So with business, we can really intentionally collaborate in order to build capacity with business and our institution, whether it's through faculty or students or larger scale kinds of corporate projects, or with community, K through 12, government municipalities, nonprofits. We really work to engage them. So we become this kind of front door that works to cultivate, connect, and collaborate with that. And it affirms our mission. And our mission says that we are an institution that intends to have local and global impact. And so Engage affirms that in a really, really profound way.
Wow. So this is basically what I'm gathering from this is that Engage EMU is an EMU's way of reaching out.
Yeah, you know what? That's great, Sarah, because I think it's a reach out versus a reach in. Though there's a lot of stuff that, and so we actually distinguish a lot of our initiatives as in reach versus outreach. And so we host camps here. So we call it an asset to asset approach, where the assets of the institution are faculty and students and programs. And how do we utilize those assets? So we have a camp coming up in a couple weeks with 600, and I think it's 600 Dexter sixth graders that are coming here to have a winter recess camp with our expertise in cybersecurity, our expertise in drama, and we have graduate students and faculty teaching these camps. So that's an in-reach initiative. We also have outreach, in which we are providing programming, short-term and long-term, in the community. And outreach, a good outreach program is we have something called the Family Empowerment Program, which provides social services for all the Ypsilanti Housing Commission residents and has our social workers on site providing this particular community key navigation resources. So that's an outreach. So engage both as in-reach, using our assets, and outreach is using our assets as well.
You know, it's interesting. So we have engage, excuse me, we have engage, and now with the advent of social media and technology, I would think that it makes it that much more, I don't want to say easy, but much more fluid and transparent to get messages out to people and have a two-way conversation as opposed to people just coming in and having that one-way conversation, so to speak.
I think so. You know, it's really interesting. I think with the advent of social media, you also feel a responsibility to make sure that part of the idea of engage is that we feel, Eastern feels, it's our civic responsibility to ensure that the community in which we live is healthy, economically and socially. And so we want to make sure that we promote their wares, right? Their businesses, their events, and their programming. So we have a real opportunity, but it's also a challenge, right? To be able to intentionally honor the community in which we live and share that information and get that information out, right? Because this is about reciprocity. But also, so I think it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because there's this responsibility that comes with the advent of social media to make sure that we are consistent communicators in what we message, right?
Speaking of social media, I recently had been doing some research to look into the historical signage project that you guys have partnered with Ypsilanti for. And I saw that on Twitter actually for the first time, was that there was something about that happening. Could you tell us a little bit about the historical signage project?
So the Black Ypsilanti Historical Signage Project, and that is its name. So the city came to EMU and said, we want to create a signage project which honors the African American history in Ypsilanti, which right after the Civil War was about the most vibrant African American community in Michigan, actually. But its stories have not been told beyond the scope of a family member, some archives. So how do we give it a public face and space? So in working with local historian Matt Siegfried and one of our students, Rashid Atwater, who is a graduate student in history, and working with alum Jermaine Dickerson, who's also a designer, and with the city, we came up with a sort of a Black Ypsilanti. There are 2 to 3 feet signage there'll be 8 to 10 of them around the city, launching in April, which will tell stories both recorded and remembered of the African American community that lived and whose families still live here. So everything from the urban district, business district, that story in Harriet Street, the First Ward School, where you had the state's first Black principal. So you're going to get stories that tell the story not of Ypsilanti, but tell the stories of a Michigan that maybe we didn't even really know. So as a university, we have historic preservation that has also participated in this. We have faculty members that have served as editors. We have students, and then we partner with the city and the Convention and Visitors Bureau to basically launch this. So it's a real collaborative initiative utilizing us as project managers.
You know, I was a student here a long time ago.
Okay.
and just listening to you share this conversation, I'm learning some things. I mean, I was here, again, a couple of years ago. A couple years ago. And I did not know that the African American, society there was that active back in the day. And that's knowledge that needs to be shared out. That is phenomenal to hear that type of information. You also referenced earlier in this conversation about engaging the business community. Please talk to us about that.
So we were asked a little bit to become part of something called the Michigan Corporate Relations Network, which is MCRN, which is a network of university business engagement centers around the state. So one of the things that business leaders have said to us and business owners is this: we don't know how to access EMU. We don't know what the door is. We don't know if we go here. We don't know if we talk to here. We need a doorway. So Business Link, which is a virtual site, was created. So it's a virtual web, www.emish.edu/businesslink. You can come in the door and business can navigate. They're like, if I want talent, you click here. If I want to figure out how to invest in, be philanthropic, I can go here. If I want to figure out how to rent lab space, I can do this. If I want to partner with faculty like Lolita, I can do this. So what it does is it allows business, a website dedicated to business that can really engage intentionally with us. And it's not just like we're clicking you to something else. It's a dynamic space virtually for us to systematically engage with our business community so we can use the assets of the institution and partner more effectively.
You know, students are always concerned about, you know, the business community. They want to get involved. They want to get internships. They want to get jobs. Unfortunately, I'm in the College of Business, and so certainly I get an opportunity to talk to a lot of students about these types of programs. And again, I think what you're doing with this program is phenomenal because it allows the university to really become more personal by engaging different constituencies and stakeholders, not just from Ypsilanti, but beyond. Again, I think that's incredible work that this team is doing.
I see with a lot of universities out by me, I'm from Wisconsin, there's this divide between the university and then the town it's situated in. And I like that part of this program is making Eastern more of a part of Ypsilanti instead of its own separate world and really integrating it into it.
Well, you asked a little bit my background, and so I always consider myself a straddler. So I'm not from here, I'm from Chicago, but I've lived here for over 25 years, and I both work and live in the community. And my work itself is community-based. So it sort of required me to sort of make sure that the work I do isn't separated, but with. So it's a different, obviously, preposition. It's not for, it's really with. And so I think that if Eastern, as they really work to do the work to make sure that the work that we're doing with business and community isn't a for, it's a with. So it's intentionally, it works. I mean, we have work to do, but more so reciprocal, and therefore hopefully it has a greater longevity as a result of it.
That's one of the reasons we have this program, is to help you get that message out. Is there a website or contact information that people can get more information about this program?
There is. Thank you. So you can go www.emish.edu/engage. On one side, you can go to Community Link, and one side you can go to Business Link. And Community Link will take faculty, staff, and students to a whole sort of array of possibilities how they can engage. So faculty can figure out, how do I work with community, students and staff as well as community organizations. And then Business Link will take businesses and figure out how they can best engage with EMU.
Wow, I just wanted to, I really want
talk really
to,
fast.
no, I just think that this is incredible. We would encourage everyone to go out and check it out. And on the website, all the contact information. Jessica, Decky, Alexander,
That's me.
thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, guys.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Great job. Thank you again for joining us. And Sarah, you're doing a terrific job. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, we want you all to go out and make it a great day, make it a great week, and we will check you out the next time on EMU Today.